Pencil, my friend, why are you looking at me like that? You need to go to jail. I'm sorry, what have I done? Jail. You and your creator. I'm sorry, I just don't see what I've done here. Go to jail. But why should... She's 12. If that. But you see, Pencil, in anime logic, she may be at the... I don't care. You're a 32-year-old man, Arthur. Have some standards. Pencil, I feel like we can have a nice discussion about this all over. I don't hug one-armed people, especially when they can regenerate those arms at any moment. How cruel. Well, can I get a fist bump? I don't fist bump people like you. Thank you to our $5 patrons, Sinus Lancelot, Artgoon, and the Divine Anpu. A big thank you to our $25 patron, the Mr. Greed. Now, before we hop into this breakdown / review of Chapter 58 of 4 Nights of the Apocalypse, please remember to leave your own thoughts on the chapter in the comment section down below. Leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already. Also, make sure you hit that little notification bell so you don't miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Now, let's get into last week's poll. What's up, guys? I love the pencil, and here we are to go over last week's poll. So last week, I ended up asking y'all, who did you think was going to steal the show in Chapter 58? Chapter 57 was a massive build-up chapter. It had so many implications to it that obviously we thought we were going to just hop right into it. We thought all things were going to go down and go crazy in this chapter. And technically they kind of did, but not to the degree I expected, admittedly. Because there's a little bit of slow pacing in this chapter, but that's fine. That's fine. We can rock with that. However, there were 5 options. It was Kion, Gawain, Mystery Girl, Mystery Man, and the Second Hood. Notably, I do believe the Second Hood was just Mystery Man, and notably, Mystery Girl, everyone knew it was Guinevere, and Mystery Man, everyone knew it was Pelgard. And if you're the one person who didn't think it was Pelgard, I want you to read this chapter and tell me it still isn't Pelgard. But regardless of that, we have with a leading vote of 70% Gawain. We really expected Gawain to go off this chapter, or at least in the upcoming chapters. Obviously, they're a final night. They haven't had a really cool introduction yet. Unlike pretty much every other night, even if I disagree with Tristan's introduction, I can't say it wasn't cool. I can't say it wasn't saucy, if you will. So, obviously, we expected the fourth right. I messed it up. The fourth night in their right would come and steal the show. However, we'll see if that really happened. The runner-up was Kion. There was a lot of faith in him with, well, I mean, not a lot, because it was only 13%. 13% is much more than what the Second Hood got at 1%. Then Mystery Girl ended up, and technically, she did end up stealing the show, now that I think about it. She really did at a nice 10%. Then the Mystery Man got 6%. So, really, really solid poll. Now, like, legitimately with the state of affairs after this chapter, I really wonder what the poll is going to be for tomorrow, dropping at 12 p.m. Well, maybe you should check out that poll, because I love doing these polls. They're great to get a community consensus, and overall, they're just really fun to do. Okay, now with that, let's hop into Chapter 58. What's up, guys? I love the pencil here, and here we are to review Chapter 58 of 4 Nights of the Apocalypse, which is known as Creeping Omens. And, there are some creeps in this chapter. Like, NAKABA. Not like, I got on Arthur, but like, NAKABA. Dude, you have to stop. Like, and this, this is even just a NAKABA thing. Anime creators out there, what is with you? Like, how do you, sometimes I ask you, how do you draw some images? Or leave some context in there, and like, not go to jail? Like, that... I feel like, just a little bit, some of y'all need to be arrested. Like this isn't too complicated of an affair here, because there are some creeps and there are some omens. But golly gee, like, whew. Alright, but enough of that. Let's hop into the chapter itself. So we open up, we get to see that Kion is, dude, like, I know Jade and Tristan know him, but like, if this don't sound like treason number 1, like, the dude's literally asking, do we really need them anyway? The Knights of the Apocalypse? Like, Kion, you're lucky that your squad is idiots. You need, like, first, you commit treason in the real way, because you, like, try to kill one of the 4 knights. Then you're asking whether or not the knights are really needed, when your squad captain, the squad you're named after, is one of the 4 knights. Like, dude, how are you, like, legitimately, how are you, I really need to know if Kion just acts this sus all the time. Like, is this a new development? The thing is, he can't be a new development. Kion must always have this treasonous talk on deck at all times, because there's no way that you're actually hearing him say this and not freaking out. Like, even I'll give Jade a little bit of credit, because he acknowledges it and is like, yo, Kion, what are you doing? Like, do you really doubt the king's prophecy? And that's a big word for you. It's a big word for you, Jade. Hold on, what's that even? Word of the day for you. Emeritus means a former holder of an office, especially a college professor, having retired but still retain their title as an honor. So the Emeritus King would be referring to Bartra. Very nice, very, very cool. I like that. However, we get to see that, and like even Tristan, bro, kill him. Not that. I mean, maybe. But the thing is, Tristan, broski, he's literally questioning if you need to exist right now. You're telling me they don't sound a little bit sussy? Just a little bit? They don't sound like a little bit like a sussy boss? I can't even say that. But, like, dude, I would... This is the thing, right? At this point, after all Kion's done, I think he's just more of a liability for so little benefit. You have no control over him. He's questioning your use right now, and he almost killed one of your hypothetical comrades when he has all the information for it. Like, maybe not execute him, because you know him, I guess. But at the same time, restrain him. Do something. None of this sounds like good work for the kingdom, I'm not gonna lie. But, like, and literally, he proceeds to continue to insult the knights. Like, he's like, but between Lancelot and that kid Percival, these knights of prophecy all seem like country hicks, and it drives me up the wall, and he clenches his fist. Like, hi. What? Like, I get it, but like there are, like, the weird thing is, right, I know, like, it's back to the birth by sleep argument. Sorry, I have Kingdom Hearts on the mind, KH4, but like, I do have Kingdom Hearts on the mind, and one of the biggest things I always hear, and notably I go back and forth on this myself, right, like, Xehanort, Terra, birth by sleep. Is it Terra's fault that he was raised to trust Keyblade Masters, and we only are calling him stupid because we know TV tropes? I wonder if that situation applies here with Kion. Like, I feel like regardless the context, like, you could just give me a general idea of what treason is, and everything Kion is saying and doing sounds like treason. Like, regardless of who I am, where I come from. Like, this doesn't feel like a Xehanort thing. Like, with Xehanort, he was arguably just a weird old man. Keyblade Master, whatever. But, like, Kion is just treasonous. I don't know. I really don't get how they're not picking up on this. And we get to see, this is an interesting note, right? And who knows, Tristan may be being nice, but I'd be perfectly fine with this. He says Lancelot is really great, more power and experience than myself even. More. But could you put some bass in your voice when you say that, Tristan? More what? More power? With a capital P? That's power. It's about drive. It's about power. We say hungry, we devour. Put in the work, put in the hours, and take what's ours. Like, Lancelot is. So, and the thing is, right, in my hypothetical, like, ranking video of who I thought the list of the 4 knights would be by end of series, I did have Lance second. Like, just off of the fact that I think he has the potential to out hacks and possibly stay relative to someone like Tristan. But and who knows, once again, Tristan may be being kind here. He may not be 100% truthful here. He may still not have full control over his demon powers, and he just happens to have a black blade, and it's not actually a darkness-coated sword. Who knows? But it does make sense that Tristan, who's mainly been living life for the most part, like, he lived life up until he was 10, and then I think the only real experience he had was Edinburgh before he went out and got Gawain. So, meanwhile, Lance has had, who knows, upwards of probably 4 to 5 years of chaos training. So, I mean, it makes sense, but it's very interesting that we're already setting up power lines. Like, I'm not saying NAKABA's more interested in power scaling this series, and I really wouldn't say that. I really wouldn't. But in actuality, I really wonder, it's cool to see him setting these guidelines, though. And we see, like, Kion is even questioning, like, wait, you go that far to say that? And The only reason I feel like it's kind of a bluff is because Tristan immediately follows up and says, I'm sure Percival is the same way. Like, I don't know. Well, then again, I can see that, though, because he immediately follows it up with, I don't know much about him, but it's obvious he's hiding great untold powers, which is very, very true. And, he, like, how do you... I don't know, right? Like, NAKABA. I think at the expense of the plot, he's making these characters look bad. Like it's one thing. I really don't even know how to describe it, bro. Like, Kion literally gives them the slip in the most basic way possible. I know they're in a crowd of a bunch of different magical signatures, but Kion should have at least a decently strong one. And, like, I'm not exactly sure how magic sensing works in Seven Deadly Sins, but considering it seems to be a passive thing, right? Like, you don't have to be throwing out your sensory abilities to sense someone powerful or decently powerful moving behind you, moving away from you. Like, even our non-fully adept, barely trained magic users are able to sense when someone of decent caliber walks up behind them. They're just like, like when Fiddish pulled up on them, they were all shivering, and it's not like they were like, let me activate my magic sensory ability. So, like, the fact that Kion just gets to walk off because Jade and Tristan are holding a conversation, it's embarrassing. I'm not going to lie to you. Like, how do you fold this easily? And we see that, speaking of giving the slip, because that's what, like, Jade asked, why should we not get more troops? And Tristan's like, oh, well, we don't want Gawain to give us a slip because we take more time and cause more of an incident. Kion just left. Like, he was just like, man, these two are idiots. The plot's working for me. Let me go do my evil thing. And we see that Jade and Tristan are like, man, this is gonna be difficult. Mainly because, like, once again, Tristan just doesn't seem the smartest. Like, I'm not going to lie to you. He did a horrible job. Like, and to be fair, I am very, 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 very confident there are at least 5 other 4 Knights candidates that are buried with seeds on them because Lancelot picked the wrong children, and thusly they ended up perishing. But at the same time, that vetting process that he put Percival through is one that didn't allow the situation to happen. Percival ended up wandering around just because he was new to the country, but it's not like he was ever a flight risk. He wasn't going to randomly leave Leonis. At best, he was going to get kidnapped, which is also bad, but still to the same degree, like, he was never a flight risk. But, well, at the same time, Tristan, I guess, just immediately, like, I don't even get how he had a conversation with Gawain and doesn't know their voice, doesn't know anything about them. Like, how do you... I don't know, once again, how do you fold this badly? Like, this just doesn't make sense to me. Help me understand. But we see that Tristan is like, oh, but you're saying it's, and this is the best interaction the group has had. I will admit, out of the Tristan platoon, this is the best interaction they've had, where Jade is like, man, but our only lead is a suit of armor with gold trim. It's a needle in a haystack. And Tristan's like, huh? You're saying it's my fault? And Jade's immediate response with a plain period is, yes. Like, I don't know. That would actually go. I know that, I'm not sure that was supposed to be funny, but when I read it for the first time, I was like, perfect. And then they notice that Kion has left. Then you notice, oh, wow, crazy. But it was also crazy. I mean, maybe Kion has, like, Sil's patrol or something like that, but he immediately walks along and just finds Gawain. Like, I'm not sure how much time passes between that little interaction, because, like, and you can't sense him. I don't know. It's kind of like, that is my only issue with series where you can, like, sense people and don't need to just see them or hear them. Because, like, you should never lose somebody in a crowd, ever. Because everyone in the verse is already assigned, like, their own distinct magic sense and signature. Like, you know what a human and a demon, I was about to say tastes like, sounds like, or not even sounds like, feels like. That seems so weird. But, like, in terms of your sensory abilities, you can pick up on a human, a stronger than average human. You can pick up on certain elements of those characters. Like, I don't know. It's kind of shocking to me that somehow Kion gets away and they can't find him, even though he's, like, a few people away. However, Kion is a man on a mission, as we see, because he goes and he's walking off to find a little someone. And the someone just happens to be walking out from under an arch or a ledge or something like that, going, whew, just like they were last chapter. And Gawain walks out, or at least the armor of Gawain walks out, is on this bridge, and then we see Kion lingering above. He then speaks something, probably some magical spell or something of the sort. And maybe this is a sylph, maybe this is something else, but from the ground arises these earthen hands, and they grab Gawain. And nobly we get to see Kion's reasoning for this. He's like, one must always act on the worst case scenario, and your worst case is happening right now. I don't believe in things like prophecies. All I trust in is me and those I believe in. Poor guy, some anonymous knight in the crowd. Who would miss you if you died here? Nobody. And okay, now Kion. Let me level with you real quick, bro. Because notably, we cut away right then and there. Like, the armor, we don't get a response from the armor. We end right there. Like, the armor is crunching and cracking, but broski. You just tried Percival, the country hick. That man didn't have no armor. That man didn't have nothing. And he almost one-shot you. Like legitimately, he got his hands on you. And if he had jaded you, like, went straight for your neck, you were done, my boy. What, like, this is like, imagine it, right? Like, say you heard of the 4 strongest bodybuilders, but they were only teenage bodybuilders at this point. They were going to be the mightiest bodybuilders out there, but they were teenage bodybuilders, meaning they've still been working out all their lives. They still are extremely strong. It's just that they aren't as strong as they will be. And you're essentially some random D2 athlete going to detain one of them because you don't like the idea that they're going to be super strong one day. What did you really think? Like, I am confident what next chapter is going to open. I don't think Gawain's going to die here, and I don't think he's going to need anyone to save him, or them. I'm still not 100% confident Gawain's a dude. Like, not gonna lie, after Merlin, I don't trust anything NAKABA does until I get a face reveal / gender reveal. Even then, look at Gother. Trap. I know he's a boy, but still, we need something. We need some clarification. However, I'm confident next chapter is going to open, and then Gawain's going to be like, so who gonna tell him? And then just snap out of the rock. Like, he may be humoring Kion here, because I still don't think Kion's strong enough to do something like that, legitimately. However, to know what Kion is saying here, there's no saving the sussy baka at this point. Like, the dude's just evil. Like, obviously, but the thing is, right? He says the only things I believe in are me. All I trust in is me and those I believe in. And but like, I'm assuming he's obviously not a Leonis loyalist, right? Like, obviously he wouldn't be attacking one of the 4 knights if he was. So I'm assuming he believes in Arthur. But you know what Arthur believes in? A prophecy. Am I nutty? Am I crazy? Am I looking backwards? Like, Kion, bro, you're stupid. And like no offense, because, like, to be fair, I really liked Kion, and to be fair, he may still be my favorite out of the Tristan platoon. But at the same time, dude, you and your whole platoon are stupid. Like, you're challenging 2 knights now, and the last knight you challenged almost ruined your entire life, and then you're gonna challenge a new one. And then the rest of your platoon is just idiots. So I honestly hope Kion gets what's coming to him. I hope he gets what he's asking for, because he's been asking for a lot. And I hope the series repays him in full, if you know what I'm saying. But of course, we're going to leave that scene, and we're going to cut over to a different one. We get this beautiful establishing shot of the fact that I need to clear my throat. Now we get this beautiful establishing shot of the blood moon, or not the blood moon, the eclipse. I think it's an eclipse. What did Guinevere say last chapter? Hold on. Let me see. Let me make sure if I'm getting this right. Zoom. I'm about to start a bite to eat. Wait, please. No, wait, I can't. A midday moon. Oh, okay. So it's just a moon. Oh, I'm sorry. But it's just a moon in the middle of the sky at random. I don't think it's covering the sun or anything like that. But midday moon. And we see that our gang is looking for Gawain, obviously, and by our gang I mean Percy Squad, and we see that there's a whole bunch of different knights in armors in Leonis, and like, who's wearing that? Who is actually wearing Hawk memorabilia as their armor, no less? Who's actually wearing what tails has Hawk spread? I simply must know. Like, is it just the fact that he was a quote unquote member of the Seven Deadly Sins? Like, what is the, like, I get the out of verse reason. Like, obviously it's just a nod to us that, hey, you remember the original series mascot? He still exists. Haha, have a laugh. But in actuality, like in verse, that dude that's behind that armor and is hitting on that chick, what was the prerogative? What was the line of thinking? What was the line of thought there? It's like, yeah, this pig armor, it's gonna pull mad women, bro. I mean, I guess it's working, because notably the woman does seem to be pretty warmed up to him. So, hey, let me not knock his hustle, but I don't know, like, how do you even get that commission? Like, how do you go to your armor specialist? Because they're forge workers. We know they still have to make things by forge. You know, it may be magic forge a little bit, but still, like, be like, I want it to look like a pig, the pig. And it's like if you were to say, I need to look like Pumbaa in like our world. I don't know, it's kind of wild. But of course, we get to see that with all these knights being here, all these different sets of armor, the only hint they have isn't the best for like finding Gawain. And once again, I guess Gawain could just be suppressing their magic. Like, I feel like the gold-colored magic should be pretty potent at this point. Like, I'm confident if Percy were to just be existing flatline. I mean, maybe, because like Percy can suppress himself. Like, he doesn't have any of his magic popping out. The note, I'm shocked. I mean, this would be a good time for his magic to use the whole like sub-ability to find things, right? Like, if he can just randomly find the Coffin of Eternal Darkness, like, Percy, can you just program them to hunt down gold colored magic or gold trim armor? Like, I feel like you could utilize that here. However, we get to see that apparently all these knights we see are holy knights, and according to that, the idea is to maybe find instead of focusing on the knight aspect, which there seems to be a whole lot of, they focus on the second tip, which was the gold colored magic. However, we see that as Percival goes to question, like, gold-colored magic, what could that be? Could that be a reference to the fan-favorite character Escanor from the previous popular series known as Seven Deadly Sins, aka a prequel? But before we get that, and notably, I'm not sure if this is a smooth cut transition or a smash cut, where we leap to somewhere else. Because in the instant, right, like, in the middle of the rain, suddenly, all of them freak. Like, their hearts start beating faster. They're all suddenly, it's like they got a jolt. Once again, their magic sensory abilities aren't always the forefront of their minds, but here's a specific example of them immediately sensing someone of decent notoriety and power. And like, notably, they all do it at the same time too. It's not even a distance related thing. And then we cut to Daddy. Sorry, Papa, Daddy Milker. I'm sorry. But of course, we cut over to a man munching on that chicken bone. He is tearing that thing apart, letting no meat on the bone. He is chomping, he is glugging, and he's chilling out. And we see that he's overall pretty much enjoying himself. He's not necessarily caring about the world around him too much. And we see that he's being questioned. Likely because this man is admitting a rather high magical power. Like, just even in sitting there and eating, he's probably a little bit stronger than your average Joe. And of course, the people that come in to question him are asking him, like, are you a traveler or a merchant? I haven't really seen you before. Can you tell me what brings you to Leonis? And notably, we get to see that the man actually responds pretty cordially. He's like, oh, I'm just looking for something. And who are you? And to be fair, it's a fair question on both ends, right? Because Leonis, obviously, due to being a trade hub and existence place for multiple other races, anyone strong showing up is probably very common, but at the same time worried about, because strong people. And we see that the person that is questioning our boy here, I'm still saying it's Pelgard, especially for what we see later in the chat. If it really isn't Pelgard, it just happens to be built exactly like him, has the exact same personality, and also happens to have the exact same magic, then NAKABA really broke my ankles. But of course, we get to see, this is really, really cool. This is Pelio, who you may remember as Peliotis. If you remember the village that Gotha was initially hiding out as, when he was still protecting Deo when he was in his demon form in the armor, this is the person who was Meliodas' copycat in their little group. That's, if you remember Katz all the way from early Fortnite of the Apocalypse, he was Pelio's friend. However, while Katz went on to be a circus performer, Pelio obviously went on to bigger and better things, because he's now a Ruby Holy Knight and head of the guard at the West Gate. So Gotha did keep his promise. He did go back, likely, and train Pelio. Though I wonder if Pelio, like, considering he seems so different now, I wonder if he still has the goal of defeating Gotha. Like, I wonder if they hashed that out all those years ago. Like, who knows how long it's been, and who's even knows the last time they communicated. It seems like Gotha has been on the road with the Demon Town for a while now, so who knows? It may have been a hot minute since the two have even talked, but it is very, very cool to see that he did keep his word. He moved to Leonis, he got his training, and he became a Ruby Holy Knight. That's really, really impressive. Shout outs to Pelio. Shout outs to Pelio. That's what we call sticking to your word. Sticking to your word. W word sticking. However, we get to see that Pelio explains that, we currently have our hands full watching out for hostile elements. We need to investigate anyone suspicious we run into. And obviously anyone of Pelgard's caliber just wandering around, especially eating and munching at this level, would be a little bit suspicious. Could be possibly hostile. Especially since he's a human, and we know what humans with high power levels do. That was... Can I do a Frieza voice right now? I don't know, for some reason there's like something caught in the back of my throat. I don't think I can do a Frieza voice right now. However, we had to see that, interestingly enough, in response to the whole idea that, suspicious elements, I'm just doing my job here, do you mind telling me who you are, where you're from, stuff like that, Pelgard's response is, Ruby Holy Knight. What rank does that name afford you? And that's very interesting, right? Because it implies that I believe this system of Holy Knights was universal, right? So maybe Arthur just didn't tell his people about it, but I know there were different ranks of Holy Knights. It was just a universal system, kind of like the entire universal system of kingdoms was. But hypothetically, I guess maybe the system has expanded or something to the point where Pelgard doesn't recognize it. I don't know. It was pretty strange. However, we get to see that despite the small talk they're having right now, Pelio can immediately pick up Pelgard's killing intent. He's here to be a man on a mission to do something. And notably, that's the only thing that kind of throws me off. I mean, you could argue the only reason Pelgard has some manner of killing intent is because he wants to awaken Percival's potential, which is why I need to make that video. And who knows, it should come out sometime before the next chapter does, hopefully. But who I think is going to die, because someone gonna die here. We essentially have too many characters at this moment that I think, too many characters that NAKABA would want to write for. He barely wanted to write for 7 main characters. You think he really wants to write for a whole, let's see, Percy's group is 1, 2, 3, 4, plus Lance, plus Tristan, plus Kion. Kion's gonna die. Jade and Iso. That's 9 characters. So obviously he ain't gonna want to write for that. I wouldn't even want to write for that. So someone gonna have to perish. So I'm guessing what Pelgard's goal here is to kill one of Percival's friends, awaken his potential so he goes bloodlusted. Pelgard sees how strong he is, and is like, okay, yeah, I'm definitely training you, and then they take him off and then go. Or he could just be here to kill one of the 4 knights that isn't Percival. Because once again, I don't think Pelgard really still has any killing intent for Percival. Percival is too intriguing and moldable in Pelgard's mind. He still hasn't been tainted from Pelgard's point of view. So I feel like he still would want to just kidnap and train Percival. And that's why I think the line from previous chapter, the previous prophecy of the whole, let me see if I can quote it directly. Hold on. Through the work of the assassins of chaos and the blade of a traitor, hope will be snatched away once more. And we know Percival, his magic is hope. He is the equivalent to hope, so if he gets snatched away by Pelgard, these things could happen. Would make perfect sense to me. However, of course, that may not be exactly what happens. But with this obvious allegation, right, Pelio was literally saying, so you're here to kill somebody or what, my boy? And Pelgard immediately is like, oh, well, I guess so. This is the best way to learn out the strongest, I guess. Let's see what you're made of. And that means that Pelgard was likely legitimately just flexing for anyone who could sense it. And notably, I do think, like, to some degree in several sins, everyone has native magic capabilities. Like, you don't need to necessarily teach a person to sense magic. They may just know how to. And again, there are limits to that, because some people don't know when, like, demons are invading, stuff like that. But at the same time, assumingly at this point, Pelgard, while he may have looked like to us that he was just eating, munching, enjoying himself, in actuality, he could have been flaring his power. And that would explain why Percy, Donnie, and really the whole group has this freaked out reaction when they sense this, or when they maybe get a power flare, because who knows, Pelgard may be even stronger than they imagined, and they recognize the base signature, because legitimately, they just ran into him, which is the only other reason, right? Like, it's the slight personality shift, the very slight change in motive, or possible change in motive, if killing intent is anything to go by, if we're to trust Pelio's statement here. And also just the fact that he was literally just around the corner. Like, the man was literally right here, right there, in front of them, and then Lance teleported them away. And it hasn't been that long since that moment. Like, it's still the same day. So for Pelgard to switch out of his armor, go get a cloak, and then walk up to Leonis, it seems like a lot, but I still wouldn't be shocked. They have, like, teleportation systems, I'm assuming. Except then again, Pelgard had to fly in his little sauce. I don't know. This is very weird. But of course, we get to see that Pelgard is directly offering, like, well, I want to see what you're made of. Let's brawl. And Pelio's like, you want to test me? And, like, notably, he doesn't say it with that, like, cocky upturned smile, like that big personality that he may have had when he was younger. But, like, the look on his face, it's serious, but it's like, you want to test me? It's that taunting challenge of a question rather than, like, you want to test me? Like, there's no fear in his eyes. And we see that this essentially has gotten the whole gang riled up, right? They're like, oh, a fight? No way! That dude's gonna take on a holy knight. And obviously, I don't think these people can sense magic. So there we go. There's the point. Like, maybe you need some magical experience, because if Pelgard's releasing this much power and they can't even tell, it ain't looking good. Meanwhile, as Pelgard cracks the neck, he's getting ready. Pelio hands off his blade. He's like, can't hold this for me. And the knight asks, like, his subordinate asks, sir? Excuse me, what are you doing? And obviously Pelio's like, well, I'm not going to use a blade on an unarmed man. That's a little bit unfair and a little bit murderous. And we get to see that Pelgard, he cracks his neck. He's ready in shape. And he's like, all right, you ready to rumble? And of course, Pelio is perfectly fine. Oh, notably, he doesn't even, like, there's not even a confirmation from Pelio. Like, in the same moment that Pelgard asks, ready to begin, he swings. But notably, Pelio is able to dodge. I don't think Pelgard is going, like, crazy all out. Like, I don't think he's swinging with everything he's got. But the fact that Pelio is able to just bob, weave, and avoid every single swing of Pelgard is actually kind of crazy. He even gets behind Pelgard. But notably, if you pay close attention, Pelgard does see him move behind. And Pelgard instantly goes to turn and respond, but then he gets, oh, I just realized Pelgard has a mustache. Oh, that's what that is. I think it's a mustache. Or like a weird split mustache. I thought that was just part of his smile, but no, that is just facial hair. Interesting. But of course, you see as Pelgard goes to, like, turn around and continue the fight, he gets popped in the mouth 4 times. In quick succession, too. Like, I'm assuming Pelio hit him with the 1-2-1-2. And it was pretty effective. Like, it actually knocks Pelgard, who's a very sizable man, by the way, pretty decently back. And Pelio, once again, not in the most cocky of manners. Like, he doesn't have that much confidence or charisma behind it, but he's like, no, state your name. Like, obviously, he put the hands on Pelgard a little bit, so he's like, well, run that name up, run my money up real quick. Like, obviously, he is enjoying himself just a little bit. However, we get to see that he didn't notice, but Pelgard, in those moments where he got the hits off, apparently lit his armor on fire. Or lit his hands, at least. I'm not sure what material the armor that he's wearing is made out of. It seems to maybe be fabric, so that explains why it's burning so easily. But obviously, there's a blaze going on. And the knights are obviously concerned, because they're like, Sir Pelio, why are you on fire? And Pelio instantly throws the gloves down before they burn him. My apologies. He instantly throws the gloves down before they harm him. And we see with this malicious grin on his face, is like, hey, oh, I'll give you my name if I deem you worthy of it. And you get to see, and notably, I do think this is an element of Pelgard powering up, because notably you see in this shot that now when the rain hits him, it's steaming and leaving visible like puffs of steam, when before, earlier on in the fight, while it was still raining, like in the scene where they're preparing and like Pelgard's cracking his neck and all this stuff like that, there's no steam coming off of him. So essentially, in response to Pelio hitting him, he turned up the heat a bit, so much so that Pelio's gloves got lit on fire from it, which is very interesting. We know, and this is another reason I think it's Pelgard, obviously, we know his magic is blaze, but for some reason, I never considered it could hypothetically be contained within him, or like he could just consistently raise his body temperature to the point where he would literally steam water or like light things on fire if they came in contact with him. It's almost just like Escanor, if you really think about it. Like Escanor would just steam things and melt things by simply existing around them. So Pelgard seems to be on a lesser level to that, but still a very impressive level, to the point where he can just light people's gloves on fire when he hits them with the 1-2-1-2, to the point where they can't even notice. So Pelgard, obviously out here throwing hands. Luckily enough, I mean, who knows, maybe Pelgard is Meliodas level, but at the same time, he's lucky he didn't draw out like the wrong element. Like, he got a Ruby Holy Knight. Can you imagine if Gil Thunder showed up, or Hauser showed up? And who knows, maybe Pelgard is stronger than them, because Pelgard's been around with Arthur since before in the 2-arm era. So pre-Chaos. So Pelgard's been around for a while, but at the same time, who knows? He probably would have run into some trouble, because there are some demons that be lurking around Leonis. I ain't gonna lie to you, but it's very cool to see that even in spite of all this, right? Like, he's being questioned, he was challenged to a fight. At the same time, Pelgard still keeps that playfulness where he's like, I'll give you my name if I deem you worthy of it. You know, you got to fight for your right here, honestly. This ain't no freebie. We ain't just giving these dubs out for the free. My name, it ain't coming out for the free. You gonna have to earn that bad boy. And I think that's really, really cool. I don't know, there's something always satisfying to me about those characters that, in spite of them, I mean, the only time it gets on my nerve is when what they're doing, in spite of their mission, is an exact affront to their mission. But I'm assuming Pelgard, especially based off the trust we saw that Arthur has in him, he probably always gets very vague orders where he's allowed to act on his own. Kind of like, this is a very weird comparison, but you know Whis from Dragon Ball Super? Like, you know how he's just allowed to go off and do his own thing 99% of the time because Beerus is pretty lax with him? I say the same here, where Pelgard is he has a very loose leash with Arthur, so he's allowed to go around and do what he wants. So just sitting around in a bar, eating it up, enjoying the life of Leonis, and drawing in strong people to fight, that sounds like a dream for someone like him. And you can see it, because even while he's like, I'll give you my name if you deem me worthy of it, at the same time, he has this big old dumb grin on his face. Though it does look rather intimidating, I'm not going to lie. He does look strapped. He does look like he got it on him. So that is a little bit concerning. However, once again, we cut away very, very quickly, and we get to see another establishing shot of the midday moon. And we also get to see Lancelot is simply sitting on the top of a perch and observing. And the thing is, I kept getting on Lance for not somehow hearing Kion's traitorous thoughts, and I'll give y'all credit. Sometimes y'all were arguing for him, like, you know, he can only hear surface thoughts, and maybe Kion was too far away. But here's Lance reading the minds of people that are like a whole building plus beneath him, and he's just scanning around and he can read all their hearts. Come on now, broski. Like, Lance, how'd you miss the traitor? But of course, we get to see that Lance, I mean, like, is it me, or does he just look sad? Like, I'm not going to lie. Like, in these two panels where you see him scanning all the people and you're hearing their thoughts, like, what shall I have for dinner today? Rain, what rotten luck. I must tell her I love her today. I bet mom's real angry. Like, he just looks so sad and lonely. And to be fair, like, it's easy to forget, because one, we kind of rarely focus on Lancelot, and two, because he's still very charismatic. He still has a whole ton of character and energy behind him when he's interacting with other people. But he was likely isolated either with just Jericho or even worse, just the Lady of the Lake for a long period of his life. Like, and a lot of his formative years were spent away from people, or at least people that he would commonly interact with. So when he sees all these people with these bonds and relationships, these things that they can care about, these interpersonal connections that people have, he's probably sad that he didn't have the chance to build those as much as he could, because he lost all that time. Sure, he got more powerful. Sure, this may be useful in the fight against Arthur. Sure, all of this may have been necessary. This may have been his fate. But that doesn't mean he just wants to lay back and accept it. And that doesn't mean that he himself is suddenly okay with all that he's lost. Sure, he's made the sacrifice, but still the sacrifice has those lingering ramifications, and I think that's very, very good. And who knows, I may just be reading way too much into 2 panels, and he may not actually be sad at all. It may just be his pensive, scanning face. But at the same time, NAKABA is very much like when he feels like it. Admittedly, and a lot of mangaka that I like are like this. If they feel like it, they will convey a lot to you without any words. They will do the visual storytelling and leave those panels like these just for you to interpret. Like, what do you think this means? And that's my interpretation from the looks he's giving. Like, he's sad and lonely. And to be fair, he did it to himself. He's the one who said, yeah, I'll go at it alone. I'll cover it myself. So, man, W. Lance, bro. W. Lance. He's probably gonna be my favorite. like if I were to just spit off the top of my head, I had lots of faith in Tristan, but so far Tristan hasn't been doing me too good. I really do love Percival, but in terms of my good old fashioned juicy suffering plus realism, you know, my two-piece combo for what I love in characters and what will really make me go like, look at that top tier character right there. That suffering plus loneliness combo, with that seriousness and that mission of objectivity. That gets you a lot of points. W. Lance. But of course, we get to see that as Lance is sitting up here, a girl comes up behind him and questions him, "What are you doing in the rain?" And I'm sorry, I just need a couple seconds. Okay. Alright, I'm back. So, we get to see that, I guess Lancelot kind of, like, he had zoned out doing it. Like, he slowly closes his eyes, blinks, and is like, meanwhile, the girl is trying to get his attention. And we see that Lance is obviously just worried, because this is just more trouble for him. Like, he has more things to take care of. And we see that the girl is pretty worried for Lancelot. She's like, "You'll catch a cold." And Lance is like, "No, you'll catch a cold. I'm immune to all those things. My dad spent 1,000 years in purgatory, and now my genetics are swole. So leave me be. Go back to your bed, little girl." And in this moment, and this is creepy. I'm not going to lie. That would be if someone like, and notably, I have a brother from another mother, a best friend of mine, who we have literally sat together. Like, we've done this on multiple occasions where we've sat together and said the exact same thing. Like, we'll test how deep our psychic bond is and be like, 3, 2, 1, and we'll say the same word at the exact same time. Like, our thought processes are pretty aligned. But that's with someone I've known for years. This random little girl that walked up on Lancelot at the same time as he does says, "Can't grow up big and strong without enough sleep." And like I don't even blame Lance for the reaction he had. Like, he has that delayed response where like your brain processes what you just heard, and then it's like, "Hey yo," I find that hilarious. It's hilarious, but also terrifying. Like, I would legitimately be thrown off if someone did that to me. Like, if you said my line bar for bar, word for word, right then and there, I'd be like, "Do I need to execute you? Is this a necessary thing? Like, because you should have known I was going to say that." But we see Lance turn with that shock, and like, this is the most wide we've ever seen Lance's eye. Like, this is the most fear we've ever seen him have, where he's like, "Wait a minute, are you reading my mind?" And the girl climbs up, and she's like, "Oh, no, sorry. Fortunately, my mom nor dad are fairies. However, I just knew what you were going to say, Lancelot." And like, okay, break from review for a bit. Put yourself in this scenario. What, like, random person random tiny person, no less, like literally a whole child, walks up to you at any point in your life and starts saying what you have directly on the domer, for one, and then two, claims that they know what you were going to say and they already know your name before you even introduce yourself. When I tell you the bottomless terror and fear, I would run. Like, legitimately, if I had a Lancelot's level of strength, I would have leaped. I would have been gone. Like, yeah, I'm not asking any more questions. What? Ooh. Oh no, my body's been trying to take me out all recording. But I'm not staying there. I'm not staying in the vicinity. I'm not analyzing the situation. I'm gone. But we see that the girl declares that she knew what Lance was going to say, and she knows his name. And then, in that same moment, we see Lance has a mental breakdown. Like, he's analyzing things to the extreme here. He's like, wait, my name. Wait, who are you? I've seen her. Like, so many things start to process in Lance's mind. But then a strong gust of wind blows, and the girl goes to tumble. And, like, it isn't a good look for anybody. Like, it's not a good look for Lance. It's not a good look for NAKABA. It's not a good look for Arthur. It's not a good look for anybody in the series. But we see she falls forward, drops. Lance catches her just barely, swings her around. And he's like, yo, look out, girl. What are you doing? And she throws her hands out and declares, I'm your lover. And then, like, I don't know. Is it because am I old? Am I old? Am I really too old for this? Like I don't know. Now I'm just disgusted. Like legitimately, this chapter it had moments. I'm not gonna lie. Like compared to last chapter, I mean this chapter does good stuff. Like I'm happy to see Pelio. I'm happy to see Pelgard in action. I'm happy to see. Am I happy to see? Like the thing is, I think my favorite part of the chapter are the parts without our MCs. Like, legitimately, I mean, Kion technically isn't an MC, but Gawain is part of that chat. So, like, legitimately, I don't like the fact that Jade and Tristan are idiots. I don't like the fact that Kion is an idiot who's trying to mess with one of the four Knights of the Apocalypse. I love the whole interaction between Pelgard and Pelio, the P gang, P squad, and that sounds so bad. Don't start calling it P squad, but. And then we end with this, like, and like, notably, it's not necessarily, but even, no, not really, because this girl looks small even compared to Lancelot. Like she looks directly like a child. Like there's no if, ands, or buts about it. She looks younger than Elaine. Like Guinevere here looks like she looks like she's the same age as Zeal was in the original series. You remember Gila's younger brother? This looks like Kid Gila. With like you take Kid Gila when Dale left, and then you smack Diane's face on it, and that's Guinevere. And like NAKABA, you went out of your way to introduce her older. Why not just have her? And like notably older, I'm assuming in that context was still 16, but instead of 16, she looks 6. Why? Why? And who knows? It may be revealed that Guinevere is secretly 3,247, and she's actually older than the Demon King himself. But in actuality, I'm not like that's. And I'll give NAKABA credit. If there's one way to end a chapter, like here's the thing, right? Prince of the Lake, he's the homeboy, he's the plug, right? I'll be waiting Tuesday mornings. I'll be waiting for him to post. I'll be lurking, and then he hits me up. And the first thing he told me before I even got to read the chapters, you ain't gonna like this one, bro. His channel will be in the card. But like he legit told me you are not gonna like this one. And I was legit thinking, right? Because I had expectations from last chapter. I knew Guinevere was gonna show up. I knew Guinevere was gonna do stuff. But I'm sitting there like, I don't really know. Like where could this go that I'm not gonna like what's going to happen here? And notably throughout the first parts of the chapter, I was reading it pretty fun. I was pretty hyped. Other than like the Gawain stuff, I was like, this is pretty good. I love seeing Pelgard. I love seeing the trio. Well, not the trio. The Percy squad being the Percy squad. And then we got into this part of the chapter where Lance was scanning, and I was like, oh, okay, this is pretty normal. But then we get to the I'm your lover line, and she gets deep. But once again, she looks like her head. I don't even want to look at the panel, though. I know I'm 99% sure, because notably, I kind of did this backwards because I was very busy yesterday. The whole reason this didn't drop on Tuesday is just because whole bunch of hectic stuff happened. I was on the move constantly, so I couldn't get it out yesterday. But the thing was, like, I recorded some of the drawing. I'm now recording the audio, and I need to go back and finish the drawing. And I haven't made the thumbnail yet, but I'm confident. I know exactly what the thumbnail is going to be, and you obviously know what the thumbnail is going to be because you clicked on the video. But at the same time, the like button is free. It is way too late to be plugging that. I know no one's around here at 50 minutes. But still, the idea that she's so tiny that her head is literally half the size of his, like, I don't know. I'm really not rocking with this. And neither is Lancelot. That is a whole case of consent. And who knows? I know it's, like medieval times, but still, consent, gosh darn it. And the most wild thing here, right? Like, notably, there's not much to be taken away from the other parts of the chapter. The only thing really of note to take from earlier parts of the chapter is that Tristan and Jade are idiots and they let Kion get away. Gawain is likely going to... Actually, no, there's something to take away. Initially, I thought Gawain might have been with Pelgard and Mystery Girl, who I'm assuming came from the Cloaks or something else. But in that same vein, I highly doubt it, considering Kion, someone who also seems to be aligned with Arthur, doesn't have any preconceived notions of Gawain. Like, they aren't like, oh, Gawain isn't a mole or anything like that. So Gawain is a genuine knight, which is good to know. That's a good confirmation to have, or at least like pseudo confirmation. I appreciate that. And then the only other thing of note here is that Pelgard is here and he's progressively powering up to the point where the gang is actually able to sense him and notice him. Pelgard looks like Alois from Fire Emblem Three Houses. There we go. I said a combination of human Shrek and Yujiro Hanma. He looks like Aloy. But the most notable thing to take there is that the fight may be continuing, and who knows, someone may have to come step and help out, whether that be Percy's gang or not. And the main takeaway from this final part of the chapter is that the reason that Arthur wants Guinevere so badly is because her power seems to be to know the future. Like, she knew this day was going to come. She knew exactly how she was going to get to Lancelot. She knew Lancelot's name already. She knew the fact that years upon years early that they were going to be lovers. Like, all this stuff she already knows. And that's an infinitely better gift than what Barcher had. Barcher cannot control the prophetic dreams he has or when he has them. They just happen. Meanwhile, someone like Guinevere just seems to have full access to the repertoire of knowledge. So obviously her maybe I hope Arthur doesn't know. Like, I hope Arthur is like, oh, never mind, I guess I'll just adopt you. Because, like, Arthur is legit 32 and this girl does look a whole 6 years old. So, like, please don't take her as your bride. Please just adopt her as, like, a stepdaughter or something like that. I would just greatly prefer that. Please do not. Like, Arthur, I know you're still built like a 16-year-old, but that doesn't mean you are a 16-year-old, my boy. So please don't do anything crazy. But obviously, there are some missing steps here. Like, I believe in legend. I mean, were Lance... I need to rewatch the video. But, like, were Lance and Guinevere, did they meet before? I thought Guinevere met Arthur before. Lance came in later in life and ended up, like, you know, getting in where he could fit in. You know what I'm saying? Like, I thought that's what happened. But then again, a lot of things are happening out of order. So it would make sense. But at the same time, I wonder how Guinevere is going to even meet Arthur. Like, if Lancelot goes to protect her, I mean, hypothetically, she could just get thrown away and end up in Arthur's hands. And she likely knows all that's going to happen. So I don't know. This chapter ended off on a very strange note. I'm not going to lie, and I know I already saw some comments because now I'm trying to get to your comments as quickly as I can. But I've already seen some people who are happy with this chapter. Overall, I'll give the chapter like a solid 7. Like, I'm not saying it's a miss. It's not like oh no, NAKABA really fumbled the bag with this one. But like especially as a follow up to the build up that last chapter set up, especially with the ending prophecy line, it is a little bit slow. But that ending, it's nasty, but it picks up the pace of the plot again. So it'd be like that. Would be like that sometimes. I'm assuming we're gonna open next chapter with Lancelot dealing with his whole case of the words I can't say. However, we'll see then. Please do me a favor. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you guys have... Whoa, I'm messing up my intro so badly. Outro so badly. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And make sure you hit that little notification bell so you miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Any support would be appreciated. Thank you so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Nago the Pencil, writing off.